Hello everyone and welcome back to GPX Japan. The long-running Final Fantasy series continues with Final Fantasy XVI dropping on the 23rd of June. However, Square was nice enough to give us a demo, and it's actually the first 2.5 hours of gameplay that can continue into the game once you buy it. Here at GPX we thought this might just be a little bit of a throwaway title, even though it's a main series game. Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2 is coming out, and we thought, hey, this can't be as good as that, right? Well, maybe we're wrong.
They just wrapped up the demo for Final Fantasy XVI, and I gotta say I'm pretty wowed. Really did not expect this demo to be this long and have so many story elements to it. Kind of pretty impressed. Actually really impressed. It was one of those games I was not gonna get, and after now, just like, I have to get it.
We wanted to start off by giving a bit of history that we all have with Final Fantasy. And me personally, I played the first 3 or 4 games to completion, but I'm not really the biggest fan of the series. I know the characters, more or less. I know the lore, sort of the archetypes, but I didn't play 7 Remake fully. I didn't get into the newer titles, 15, because at that time I was really into Persona. Persona 5 had come out, so to me that was the only game that mattered. So I think what really got me into 16 was just the fact that I'm seeing advertisements for it everywhere, and I saw the free demo and I thought I might as well give it a shot.
I've actually never really played a Final Fantasy game before, and so I figured I'd give this one a try, and I'm glad I did, really.
My experience with Final Fantasy started with the SNES Final Fantasy 3, I want to say 3, but I know there was some confusion where in Japan it was 4, but internationally it was 3. I don't remember much of it. Final Fantasy VII is what I remember very well. I remember finishing Final Fantasy X. That was a phenomenal game. 10-2 was even better. Not your typical RPG, but I adore it. 12 was amazing because now things were becoming more like real time. You could see enemy combatants on the field. You can avoid them if you want. And then, of course, the game that is one of my top 5 games of all time, Final Fantasy VII Remake. 7 Remake is just so perfect. And I feel like 16 takes a huge page. All the lessons learned to get to 7 Remake are in 16.
And just some overall thoughts, this demo was crazy.
With the short time I had, I really grew to like the characters and want to learn more about the story. Even though it was only like 2.5 hours, mostly consisting of cutscenes, I didn't mind that too much. Although there is a bunch of stuff to take in and a lot of exposition, but the twist in the end was nuts.
I mean, me personally, I wasn't really into the cutscene thing just because coming off from Zelda Tears of the Kingdom where it's just gameplay, I was kind of surprised that they would start the demo like this where you have to sit through a few cutscenes and whatnot, because I just felt like every time I started playing I'd have to sit through another cutscene. There's so many characters to kind of get used to, and so at first I'm like, I don't know what's going on.
The combat is so much fun. It's very action oriented, but at the same time there's enough strategy. It's very Xenoblade, and you have to watch where your position is. You have to aggro certain enemies. It's really well done, and your AI companions are not dumb. Surprise.
The combat also felt really nice and intuitive. I'm glad that even if you've never really played a Final Fantasy game before, it won't be an issue, and you could just jump right into Final Fantasy XVI.
What stood out for me was the production values. The voice acting's top notch. Some of those massive fights in the demo, they're just, they blow my mind.
I really liked the relationship that Clive had with his brother Joshua, and it felt really genuine to me. The mom was so evil, and I hated her so much, which means they definitely did a good job with that.
The mother just being pure evil, I hated her. The characters were great. I really enjoyed them. I really did.
I don't know. It's so silly, but I'm happy that they have quick time events. I really missed them, and in RE4 Remake, they just took them out, and they have them in here. And so during combat, there's special moments, and it's just so nice because the way they frame it and how they produce those moments is it's very interesting. It's really bombastic is the word. That's the word of the month for me. Bombastic. Everything's bombastic. Yeah, really, really cool stuff.
But for me, the demo, and I guess the game, really starts to shine when you go back to the past. You relive what happened. To me, that's where it takes off. You learn the combat, you really get into the game. That was awesome for me. Yeah, from there, the rest of the game was smooth sailing. I love the atmosphere, I love the graphics, the detail is amazing. Even on performance mode, the scenery is just phenomenal. The amount of detail that goes into the castle, beautiful. The lighting, everything. Now, for me personally, it can be a little bit overwhelming when there are so many tutorials off the bat, and again, it's the same thing with Zelda. I know companies do this to try to help players out just in case there's ever a problem, but like one after another, it feels like there's so much information to take in. And so, for me, I thought it was nice, but it is a lot. And they do have things like the timely accessories that do help newer players to the series, because the combat, it's not turn-based combat, this is full-on action, real-time combat. So I think a lot of people will appreciate the fact that they have these items in here that can help ease people into the system.
Initially, I was not going to get this game because I'm a huge fan of 7 Remake, and I was waiting on that to come out, and I just thought, hey, Pikmin's going to come out, I'm going to probably play Pikmin 4 and some other stuff. And after the demo, after how it ends, the story is something. I'm not a fan of medieval settings or games, but this adds something to the mix that just, it's this je ne sais quoi that it makes me really excited, really happy.
There's a lot of cool things in there too, like when you're lifting up the doors, for example, on the PlayStation controller, you can feel the feedback on the thumbstick, you feel the resistance. I mean, this is modern gaming and it's great, and I'm loving it. And another thing is, it doesn't seem to be open world, and I'm okay with that.
I don't know how I felt about the constant swearing, though. Maybe it won't be bad in the rest of the game, but it felt like the F word was thrown around a little too loosely. But I guess we'll see. It's not really a deal breaker for me, though.
Yeah, I agree a little bit with the swearing, too. It feels always strange when games do that. They try to, like, throw it in there to almost, like, give it, like, legitimacy or something like that. Like, if you don't have a bunch of swearing, it's not going to be taken seriously, but I don't think it really needed it. It was a little bit too much. Now, I heard that Final Fantasy XV had a huge open world, but a lot of it was kind of aimless, too empty, and so to me, it seems like they're going back to a very linear path, and I'm totally okay with that. It's actually refreshing. I don't think every game needs to be an open world. If they can tell a good story, have good combat.
It's this Japanese element. It's this storytelling. It's this production value. It's this speedy, sort of streamlined process. Like, it's a 2.5 hour demo, but they throw a lot at you. And then you sort of like realize, oh man, if they wanted to, they could slow down the pace even more.
They're doing something that's totally different from Zelda, and that's totally okay. Not everything has to be that way. It doesn't have to be a Skyrim. It doesn't need to be a Xenoblade. So, hey, I'm liking the combat, I'm liking the story, I'm liking the atmosphere. I think it's fantastic.
But no, it just breezes by, and you get invested in the world. And I say, man, I love Clive. He's a good main character. I mean, I think this is the first Final Fantasy to have an M rating, if I'm not mistaken.
I didn't even think I was going to buy this game, but I'm totally sold on it now. I'm not going to lie. I didn't know how I felt about the characters or anything at first. I thought, oh gosh, all these cutscenes is overwhelming. But like I said, when I got back to the past and the game really took off, I thought, I'm totally sold.
I definitely plan on buying this game the day it comes out and diving more into the world in that game, especially with the way the demo left off. I want to see more and how the rest of the game plays. If the demo is any indication of how the final game is, I'm completely sold.
Man, it's just production values, the voice acting stands out, the combat and how smooth it is, that stands out. I'm sure I'm repeating stuff that you guys have also said. I'm definitely gonna get this. I went from like, nah, we'll see, to almost 90%. This is a game I gotta get.
But what do you all think about Final Fantasy XVI? Have you played the demo? Let us know in the comments below, and we're looking forward to picking this game up when it comes out this week. Thanks again for watching GPX, everyone, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care.